What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new video here on Apex Academy. Before we begin talking about the different ways that you can quickly boost your conversion rate on your Shopify store, I want to go ahead and ask everybody to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just saw that about 80% of the people who don't watch the YouTube or who watch the YouTube channel are currently not subscribed. So I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody to subscribe. And let's go ahead and jump in to today's video. So I want to talk about a few different ways that you can increase your conversion rate on your Shopify store. Now, if you guys remember this Shopify store, we actually built this store, and recently I've been playing around with it, doing some edits to it, kind of making it look bad on purpose. If you guys could see here, we're going to create an episode where we redesign this very, very close in the future, maybe even tomorrow. But I created a whole playlist, creating this store from absolute scratch with the original Wolf of Shopify theme. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the original Wolf of Shopify theme here for those who want to see. It is literally the first link here, Wolf of Shopify theme. Okay, it's normally, let's go ahead and remove this, $125. Use my discount code. If you plan on getting the theme, you're going to save 25 bucks off. All right, guys? So that's just a little quick FYI. But let's go ahead and talk about boosting your conversions. And by the way, if the website does look a little ugly, it's because it is. I'm going to be redesigning it here in the future, coming really, really soon. So let's go ahead and talk about conversion optimization. The first part to conversion optimization is you have to ask yourself, does your customer base have a genuine interest in your product? When I say genuine interest, I'm not talking about an interest for entertainment or for passing the time. I'm talking about an interest to legitimately buy. Now, that comes from your ad, that comes from the traffic that's coming in, the quality of the traffic. All those kind of things kind of differ, but just to be aware and just so that you guys can kind of understand everything behind that concept is that when you create an ad, you have to have some sort of psychological cognitive bias towards it, right? You can't just put up a picture of your product and say, hey guys, I'm selling this, who's interested to buy in an ad? The ad will never convert, and that's what majority of ads do today. You want to have some sort of cognitive bias. What are some examples of cognitive bias? An example is scarcity effect. An example is incentivization. Those are two very well-known and main highly used cognitive biases. An example of scarcity effect is, imagine if I have an ad, for example, of this product right here, or let's just pick this t-shirt, what is this, shorts? These pair of shorts. I put up the pictures of the model and I say, limited amount left, use code whatever to get 15% off when purchasing. Well, what I'm doing is I'm actually using two cognitive biases in that ad specifically. I'm using the scarcity bias by telling them X amount is left, right? There's a scarce amount of the product that's left. And then what I'm also doing is I'm incentivizing them by giving them a discount code. So incentivization is nothing more than just motivation, right? That they can, something that they can get that benefits them, okay? That's a motivation for them to get the product, okay? So those are two different cognitive biases that you could use in an ad. And I'm telling you guys, if the ad is attractive to consumers, they are going to convert. It just works perfectly that way. And I've done this with so many different products. Once you get the hang of doing ads like this, it's going to be easier. Now, why did I pick the original Wolf of Shopify theme for this tutorial? Well, there's a few reasons why. Number one, it's budget friendly, it's user friendly. We're talking about $100 for a Shopify theme. Now, automatically this will be checked off here, but you don't have to. If you don't want to do ads, if you're gonna plan on bringing traffic in a different way and you don't need to learn about ads, just unclick this. It's $100. A lot of people may not be able to afford the more premium theme that they have, which is the Alpha Wolf. The Alpha Wolf is much more premium. There's two ways to access it. There's a link here that says add to cart, literally, and you could check out that way, or you could click on the second link at the top, okay? It just, however you want to access it, all right? But the Wolf of Shopify theme will allow customers to convert. I can't tell you how much money I made off the Wolf of Shopify theme just on using products with that specific ad strategy. Okay, that specific ad strategy is the easiest ad strategy to go with, and it makes customers convert. Why? Well, let's break it down from a psychological standpoint. If I'm creating an ad with a cognitive bias of scarcity and incentivization, what are people going to expect when they come to my website? They're going to want to see correlational bias. So what is correlational bias? Correlational bias is basically that the information that I gave them once has to correlate with the new information. Well, what's the information that they first saw? That it was the ad. What's the second group of information they're going to see. It's the website. And this theme perfectly, this is the $100 theme, the cheaper theme, okay? Not the Alpha Wolf, but the cheaper one, perfectly allows you to contribute from that cognitive bias standpoint, okay? So, what are the cognitive biases that we see that pop up in this theme? Well, first, we have a scarcity timer here. It says, hurry, only X amount left, only 40 left, only 20 left. Whatever numbers you want here, you can configure yourself within the product settings, product detail page, literally just edit the settings. I've shown this before in my series, right? This is a product scarcity. So what does this do? When a customer comes to the web page of the product, they're going to see X amount left. This is usually the first thing that grabs people's attention, okay? Aside from the product images, of course. But this is usually the first thing that grabs people's attention, and this is going to correlate with the scarcity that they already have in mind. So what's going to happen is they're going to now trust the idea that there's products limited in scarcity. And just in case if they're on the edge a little bit, they're not sure, guess what's going to happen that's going to motivate them? They're going to see this right here. X amount sold in the last amount of hours. And then they're also going to see this right here, which says in real time there's X amount of visitors. Now, why does this matter and why is this relevant? Well, if you are told that there's a certain amount left of something, right, and it's scarce, and you've had interest in it because you clicked on the ad, you're slightly interested, these two things are now going to motivate that even more. They're going to amplify that feeling within you. And remember that all purchases, well, not all, but most, we're talking about 90% of purchases on the internet are impulse, emotional based buys. They're not based off of a need. Nobody needs to go buy a pair of shorts that are $39. You could go to Walmart and get a pair for $5, right? But people are buying off of emotion. They like the way certain things look. They might like the way certain things feel, right? It's completely rational, but it's also completely emotional. So what do they see here? 20 sold in the last 12 hours. Well, what does this reinforce from a psychological standpoint? It enforces the amount of stock that's left is very limited, right? What does this reinforce? Here it says real time, 30 visitors right now. What does this reinforce? It reinforces that there are many people on the website, right? And we know that there's a certain amount of people left, or there's a certain amount of product left, and there's also a certain amount of people on the website right now. What does that do? That increases my chances now dramatically to feel scarcity. So imagine, this is the best way I can explain it, is imagine if somebody says, okay, there's a hurricane coming in 1 week, okay? What's the logical thing people are going to do? People are not going to just move out of their houses. They're probably going to load up on materials, resources, etc. But guess what? You already have this notion that, okay, there's a hurricane, people are going to be at the gas stations, people are going to be at the grocery stores trying to buy whatever they can, right? Well, you have that preconceived notion. Let's say you pull up to the gas station, you pull up to the grocery store, now you see a whole line that's basically 2-hour wait time outside a store. Now what's happening? Now you're itching to get into the store because you know that there's people in front of you, you know the products are scarce, and you might not get access to whatever you want to buy. Now this represents the same thing where there's a certain amount of people on the website, you know the products are scarce, and you know the amount is going down slowly. Humans cannot fight this kind of psychological barrier, okay? They need to be able to, that's just the way humans are. They need to be able to access the resource when it's scarce. That we've evolved this way through many, many years, right? It's the same reason why people will kill over food or something like that, because it's a scarce resource, okay? So you want to be just understanding from a psychological standpoint. Now, what's the next concept when a consumer sees an ad like that, and what do they think? They know the product is scarce. They know they have an interest in the product, because if they didn't have an interest, they would have never clicked anyway, okay? They know that there are other people that could potentially buy the product before they buy it. What's next? You have this little pop-up on the top left that verifies sales, which this is called social proof. Basically, social proof is another social cognitive bias that encourages people to perform an action based on other people's actions. A good example of this in psychology is there was this experiment done. I think it was called Zimbardo or something like that. It was basically, there were these two groups of people, okay? And the group of people where there was a group of guards and there was a group of prisoners. And they were under both the complete understanding that this is an experiment. Nobody's going to get harmed, etc., okay? But what happened is is that social proof started to kick in, and it also showed people's need for greed. But basically, from the psychological standpoint that we're coming at, is that these prison guards, even though they knew that this was an experiment, they started to exercise their power as true prison guards, where they were in charge. Next thing you know, the prisoners started to get abused, started to get, they were starving, etc. People were getting sick, people were getting hurt, right? And they were literally like top of the line abuse. Now, why was this actually happening? It all started off with one guard performing a bad action, and it was reinforced by no pushback, okay? Well, in this case, what does that teach us from social proof? It teaches us that humans are likely to do something that other humans are. All of a sudden, now it wasn't one prison guard acting abusive. It was two, it was three. Next thing you know, it was all of them acting abusive to the prisoners. Even the fact that they knew this whole thing was an experiment. It was fake. It wasn't even real life. They weren't actually prisoners, right? But they were getting abused like they were prisoners. Why is that? It's because it has to do with social proof. It's the same reason why when there's a fight in school, right, as kids, one kid starts watching, next thing you know, 50 kids start watching and circling around. It's the same reason why if one kid in a classroom with a substitute teacher disrespects the substitute teacher, next thing you know, the whole class is acting crazy. Why is that? It's social proof. It's essentially follow the leader. When a customer sees that there's scarcity, they have a genuine need for genuine desire for the product. They feel that the product is limited, right? It is scarce. They know that other people have interest, but then it is reinforced by social proof, showing that consumers are buying. This is one of the things that we call the final tick, the final hit that can make that, the final straw that broke the camel's back, that makes that person buy the product. Now, some people might call this evil. Some people might call this, unethical. But the reality is every business that has, somebody who's managing the business that has a brain between their heads does this and knows about this. Every store Sears, Marshalls, JCPenney, it doesn't matter. They all use these effects to essentially motivate people to buy. Whether it's incentivization, whether it's, scarcity, whatever tactic it is, when they say 50% off, buy it now. What is that? That's a mix of different cognitive biases, guys. Everybody does this kind of thing. Now, how do we reinforce trust now? So, if you notice, larger brands, they don't do what other people do. They don't put trust badges. They don't do things like that. Have you ever went to Nike.com and saw a bunch of trust badges? No. Why? Because they're automatically trusted. They're well known. Well, how do we do that for our business? We use the reviews, okay? Now, in this little example, I didn't actually add reviews, but logically, okay, you want to add reviews that actually pertain to the product. Now, this is a free thing that everybody can do, is adding reviews, but you have to be logical about how you add it. The best way that I could tell if somebody's a copycat or if somebody's actually a successful business person is I look at their reviews. I see what kind of reviews do they have. Do they really know what they're doing? So I look at their reviews. If the reviews are like fake reviews like, oh, great product, or amazing product, love the material, or great product, it fit nice, that's a fake, busted, crap review. But if the review is highly descriptive, highly explanatory, maybe even shows pictures of the product, okay, that can increase the chance of the sale, okay, dramatically. Why? It's because it taps into trust. People are not going to make a decision unless they trust the business, they trust the brand. Okay, that's also why I tell people go with something that looks professional, a Shopify theme that looks professional. It doesn't have to be Wolf of Shopify, but it has to be a theme that looks somewhat professional. The images have to look professional. They have to look clean. They have to look professionally shot. Okay, that all that does is that adds to the trust factor. When people trust the business, there's going to be a better chance to sell. A trust badge is not going to do that for you. That's common guru talk that's been exposed. Now, have we used trust badges before? Absolutely. Have we kind of toggled with the trust badges? Sure. We don't just copy and paste trust badges off the internet in our real stores. Now, I might have done that for a tutorial, but for the real stores, we figure out, okay, we put ourselves in the customer's shoes and we figure out what what questions can the customer have, or what objections can the customer have that we can truly alleviate, that we could truly fix, the problems that we could fix and handle, okay? And typically we use the trust badges to solve that problem. Now, in this case, I did not put trust badges. You guys are free to do that here, okay? But I personally didn't. Also, notice here, the special offer box. This is just what we call incentivization bias, okay? Incentivization, like I said, a motivator, another motivator. Now, you guys have seen scarcity. You guys have seen social proof, another example of social proof. You guys are seeing more examples of scarcity, incentivization, trust, right? All these different things. When you add up all these different features together, what is it called? It is called Lollapalooza Effect. Lollapalooza Effect. Everybody remember that. Why is this important? Because Lollapalooza Effect basically states that when you add more and more of these social cognitive biases together in unison, when you put them together, when you use them for the same purpose, they are much more powerful. It's the same reason why you can have a Shopify store. You can add this little fake pop-up here and nothing else and still not get sales, because one is not enough. You have to have it all. Because if you have just one, it won't essentially be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It won't make the customer make that purchasing decision. It just simply will not. Consumers need more nowadays. They're hit with thousands of ads a day, thousands of videos a day, hundreds of Instagram pictures a day they're seeing. You have to be something that separates from the crowd and essentially blares attention, screams for attention. In the world today, we are fighting for attention as businesses with Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and all the other platforms that I didn't mention, right, that are out there. The consumer today is inundated with tons and tons of content and things that are calling their attention, right? You have to step away from the crowd and you have to figure out how can you do that. Now, for me, this theme, I used it for, I'll say, about 2.5 years, and I have made literally over 6 figures with this theme. Now, I've done it with different stores. I'm not talking about one specific store. I've done it with different stores. Back then, when I had my clothing store, right, my very first clothing business, it wasn't even a Shopify business. It was just a store on WordPress. I couldn't afford to have Shopify, nor was Shopify even a good platform at the time. But in my head, I thought, okay, how can I motivate consumers to buy? Because I can't pay for ads. I couldn't afford it at the time, right? And so I said, all right, I'm going to get traffic from SEO, but how can I get people to show up to my website and actually get them to convert at a higher rate so I don't have to worry about spending a ton of money in ads? And for me, the solution was studying the psychology of the consumer. That's exactly where I learned everything we're talking about now. And there's much more to share, but I think this video stretched on for long enough, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video, guys, helped you guys out and hopefully drop some knowledge bombs on you, all right? I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Bye.